All right, come on in, everyone. We are back. It's myself, Allegra Jackson, CEO. We have Miss Emma Lyons. We are here talking to you today about something that I thought was very interesting, and Emma thought it was very interesting as well. So I want you all to pull up. Make sure you share this live wherever you are on the platforms, even if you have to share it, in text messages and things like that. Like, let people know who need to hear about this. As the founder of the W.I.N community, just want to welcome all of our members in here and guests. And also for my clients in AJCO Business Coaching Group, hey, y'all, listen, we know that it takes a lot to run a business. And as a business coach, I thrive in making sure that I work on my personal development every single day. It is not a joke. And so, when we were talking, Emma and I, we said, what are some of the things that really are impacting a lot of women in business right now? And everyone's not in business. I mean, we have a lot of people that are just high level professionals and women who are doing amazing things in the world. But we also have people who are running businesses, not just a business, but businesses. And so we have to make sure that above all, okay, as women entrepreneurs, that we take care of ourselves, right? And I think that has truly an important meaning for us more than anything, because we're the ones that literally take care of everyone else. So who saves the hero? So I always love to bring these conversations to the forefront so we can really benefit and thrive from some of the things that we share. If you have questions, make sure you put those questions in the comments. We would love to hear from you. I am Allegra Jackson, the Marketing Medulla. I'm a business coach and a marketing strategist, as well as a business analyst. So I love looking into your business and figuring out what's working, what's not, and where we can grow from there. But today, I want to have Miss Emma introduce herself, and we're going to talk about this. Okay, so let me know what y'all think about this topic. Generational triggers, right? You may be holding on to. I noticed that in my journey, I had some awakenings that I shared with y'all before, but I'm continuing to share as I grow. And so we would love for you to do the same and let us know, how you're enjoying the live. But Emma, go ahead, introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Well, hey guys, and welcome to this amazing conversation. My name is Emma Lyons, and I work with mostly female entrepreneurs as well, but I help them to break through their own, I call them money blocks, but really these are the inner blocks that we have that kind of put the roadblocks on our success. And that can affect us, even if we have the most amazing strategy that Allegra gives us to do. We can find ourselves starting and stopping, or things just not connecting, or we can't even sit down and do the thing that we know we need to do. And I've seen this time and again. I really believe this inner part is the part that's often overlooked. And I firmly believe that this is the number one thing that stops women from reaching levels of success that they want, that they desire in their business and in their finances and in their personal life. Because we have been taught that we can't have it all, and all these weird things about money, and we've been passed on all these generational things about money and what we can and can't have. And that's really affecting how we do business and how we receive in business. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic today. And like Allegra said, drop your comment in the chat and let's have a conversation about this. And what my work is to really help people, help women particularly, to unlock and open up to the abundance that's there waiting for them, to clear those money blocks so that you can have all the success that you've been dreaming about. So very excited for this conversation. Back to you, Allegra.
Listen, I'm all the way live. I'm like, share this live, y'all. I'm like, my mind is going a million miles an hour right now, right? Because this is not subject just to women, but as women being at the forefront of entrepreneurship right now in today's market, and also the type of traumas and triggers that come through our generations. I want to talk about that, okay? Because when I talked to Emma, I said, Emma, I'm realizing, because I listened to Mel Robbins. Do y'all know Mel Robbins? If you know Mel Robbins, put a heart and tag her in the comments or something. Tell her we're talking about her. But I love Mel Robbins because she was just giving some very like simple math to the equation of how we take on generational trauma from our mom and our grandmothers and, you know, our family members, period, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be just the women, but mostly the women because we're women. And I think it's just important to know what that looks like. And if you don't know what that looks like, right? Because we all have them, right? Okay, so I'm gonna list what common causes of intergenerational trauma can include. So y'all listen, right? These are some of the things, Emma, that I was like looking at after I listened to Dr. Mail. I said domestic violence. Like, I thought about the times where we would talk about our grandmothers having to experience abuse in relationships, right? Because you couldn't just go out and get a job and leave your husband, right? Like you were dependent on your husband. So there were so many things in the past that I read about because my mother also is a domestic abuse, a domestic violence awareness advocate, as well as she managed a women's shelter. So I've seen that, right, in the past, and how we as women, we kind of take on that because one of the things that I learned in my relationships, y'all, and I was like tripping about this, right? Because I was like, yo, you don't even know that you're experiencing domestic abuse sometimes because you've seen it in your families over time, right? And I think one of the hard, cold cases that came about that gave an example of that, right? And I just did the first one on the list. There's like 13 of them plus. But the domestic violence part, because it's usually, I mean, it goes both ways, but mostly it's men to women. And women have had a history of like hiding it, you know, not really wanting to speak up, kind of like being emotionally abused when you do speak up. And when I think about why a lot of people in the past that I've heard have not spoken up, is because they just thought it was a bad thing to do. Like, you know, their grandmother, their mother, you know, somebody didn't believe them. They kind of told them, don't say nothing, you know, or that's your grandpappy. Like, you know, like there's so many situations that I've heard where there's, you know, domestic violence. It's in families too. Like, you know, your uncle or, you know, your dad himself or your granddad. And so we experienced that. One of the examples that came up, Emma, you could speak about this because I think this is a block to receiving. Because how can you be open to receiving if you generationally already think that men are bad, you know, or you've experienced things that already have impacted you, not only just in your nervous system, y'all, because you don't have to watch someone go through domestic abuse to have it generationally come down in your into you, your nervous system. It's in there, it's in your DNA. So we don't heal from things in our generation, we just kind of pass it down to the next generation. So that's what Mel Robbins was saying. She said you have to heal in your generation. So because what I think happened with my situation, y'all, and I'll pass this over to Emma after this because there's so much to say about this, y'all. I'm just on number one. But I remember just being in this place where I've you know, had to realize some of the things that I was doing, I started to question it like over time, right? Like, why do I feel like I gotta do that? And I had no reason behind it. And I think once we start to question our actions, right? Like why we do things and really monitoring our thoughts and activity, then we start to think about it like, okay, am I holding on to a generational trigger that I'm responding to because I may have, you know, adapted that into my nervous system, or I may have seen that unknowingly and now I'm triggered by it, right? And that can mean a lot of things. So we'll elaborate, y'all, but I want to look at the comments and then go over to you, Emma. You have it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the stuff. These generational triggers are things that we're not necessarily aware of, like Allegra was sharing. The things that we take on unconsciously from the way our mom behaved. And I talk about this. I work with women a lot, and these are things like, you know, only a few generations back, or maybe even one. You know, women weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to work after marriage. Wasn't that long ago. Women weren't responsible for looking at money. For example, I talked with Allegra, you know, women's clothing. There's a reason why it doesn't have pockets, because looking after the money. It was looking after the household. So there are still a lot of these old belief systems and structures that we might have the back of our mind, that we might have inherited from our parents or grandparents, that kind of keep us stuck in this place that even though we're doing all the things on the outside to move forward, there's a part of us that's like, I can't have it because I'm a woman, because I don't know how to do it. Women have more self-doubt. And I think that stems from the fact that we are so new in this business realm. And it doesn't mean we have a lot of potential, but we also have a lot of things holding us back in general, because we can have a lot more negative thoughts. That's proven psychologically. Women have a lot more, if they have more negative things going on. So we tend to take that on. We tend to be empathic, tend to be more sensitive. And that really is how we do business. Because we often hold ourselves for fear of hurting someone, or for fear, we let our emotions control what we do and don't do more than men. And that, I think, can really hold us back in business. And that's not to say it's a bad thing, because we want to flip that and make that emotional sensitivity a superpower. And it really can be, when we flip it into that, make it from a weakness into something that really makes us stronger. Because as Allegra always talks about here, business is really about relationships. And when you are sensitive and advantage in the relationship realm, that people who aren't, maybe don't have, they can't connect in the same way. So we want to transform that into a superpower rather than being a weakness. So really excited to get into this conversation. Allegra, are you there? Have you frozen? Oh, or maybe I've frozen. Okay.
I had to delete all these freaking tabs off my computer, y'all. It's can you hear me? Am I breaking up?
Yep, I can hear you now, all loud and clear.
Oh Lord. Okay. I may have to jump on the phone.
Oh God. I am looking here. Can people hear me, by the way? Let me know if you can hear me. You're breaking up a little bit, but I'm just looking at here, and Vanessa, she is asking us,
Emma,
can you
can you hear
talk
me?
about watching Allegra? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I don't know. I can hear you now.
Sick, they can hear me.
I'm looking at the chat here, and Vanessa, she has a really cool question.
So go ahead.
Allegra, are you there? Can you hear me? I can see you, but I can't hear you, or I'm not sure if you can hear me. Oh, and Jan says she can hear me. I don't know. We can hear you all. Okay. So Allegra is just hopping out, and she's going to come back in again, hopefully with a better signal. But this is the cool thing here, right? So Vanessa, you have a question. I'm going to put this to Allegra when she comes back as well. Can you talk about watching your family members never making six figures, poor money skills, addictions, bankruptcy, laziness, mental health too, that messes with mindset and feeling worthy? Vanessa, that's such a great question, because all of these things, if you are brought up in a family where people are poor and they have this poverty mindset, and they don't have the skills or the beliefs to make money, it really does affect mindset around money. And things like, I can't be successful. Nobody in my family has been successful. I can't be successful. And making six figures is impossible. And that that can really stop you from even being able to tap in, realizing yourself, having the success that you want. And also, when you are making moves to make that happen, address those beliefs, because they really are that are just kind of running like the software on a computer and helping you to where you want to go. You've got that software that's going to help you get to where you want, 6 figures, start making the money and thriving. And then you can be the model for your family, the role, because people do follow the lead of their parents, their aunt, of their so this is where we're taught about the limits of what's possible by the people around us. And when you to work through your beliefs that are probably there, and like I said, bit more women, different ethnic groups and maybe minorities who have been repressed or oppressed through generations, we can carry all the beliefs that go with that have held back our ancestors, in servitude, in feeling less than. And so if you've got that going on, it can stop you from standing up and talking about what you do, or even if you are up there talking about what you do, it can kind of hold it back from things connecting, from you meeting the right people, from those synchronicities happening, because there's a part of you that's actually scared that it's not possible, scared of it happening, because there are all these beliefs there saying, oh, who am I to be successful? We want to be, there's this whole tribal thing. We are tribal people, humans, we are tribal people. So part of us, we want to stay with our family. We want to be accepted. We want to be accepted in the tribe. And this is a survival thing, because think about it from a tribal perspective, like thousands of years ago. If we were not considered part of the tribe, we were kicked out, and then we couldn't survive. So we have this big part of us. We want to belong. We want to stay with our family. So if your family has all these beliefs and are keeping themselves small, not because that's what they believe, all they believe they can achieve, there's a part of you that wants to stay with them. You don't want to rise above them, out of the tribe, family system, not connected to your family anymore. That's terrifying idea. So all of these things can create this kind of psychic breaks that we put on to us having the success that we want, because we want that, we want to maintain that connection. So that's such a great question. For money, skills, addictions, bankruptcy, all of these things, we that's why if you're out there working out, for example, trying to do great things, maybe people from your family or people from your tribe are like, oh my God, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. Oh my God, that's such a stupid. They can really try to pull you down, not because they don't love you, because they're afraid that you're going to go off somewhere where you're not connected to them. And we carry that fear too. So our job is up to not to break those chains, and then show them, be that role model for them about what is possible. But it does take courage. It's not an easy ask, because what's easy is just going through the motions and doing what everyone else is doing. If we want to rise above that, we've got to do this extra work to break the chains of our conditioning, of our families, so that we can be that role model for them and for the world, to show them what's possible for people, for women, for Black women, who, whatever kind of group that you're from. So many things are possible, but it's only the limitations that we put on ourselves. We are subconsciously hold us down in not achieving anything near our potential. And I want to say one more thing before I pass it back to Allegra here. None of us are achieving anywhere near our potential, because there's always another level. There's always so much more. It's infinite, right? So if you're at 6 figures, there's 7 figures. If you're at 50% happy, or if you're really, really happy, there's another level of happiness and success that's there for you. So we got to break and every time we start hitting the upper limit of, what feels safe, the comfort zone of our family, of the money that we're allowed to have, that we allow in, the level of success that we allow in to remain connected to our family, or whatever belief system is holding that in place. It's going to take something to break that. It's like breaking out, the chrysalis, where the caterpillar. It takes some energy to break out of that and become the butterfly. And then guess what? There's another level after we reach another level where we get to expand the limitations that we've created for ourselves, and we rise to the next level. So this is a really powerful thing to do. And I'm, with that being, wondering back to Allegra, because I know Allegra say about. So Allegra, are you there? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, as long as y'all can hear me. So, and give me a heart if y'all can hear me too on the comment section. So thank y'all. Hey, what's up? I don't know who is here on the Facebook users, but feel free to drop your name as well, because we can only see Facebook user from this side of the platform. But I love the comments, and I love the question too, because when you were talking about it, Emma, I was just contemplating writing some things down that really affected me over the years. I've been in business for, I mean, it's going to be going on 20 years soon. You just can't even believe how old I am. Don't even ask me. And I remember when I first started out in business, it was just one of those blasé things for me where I just kind of felt like, okay, this is what I want to do, right? But here's the thing. I like what was brought up was, I think, keyword awareness, right? Because before you even identify like a generational trigger or something that you may be holding on to that you don't really know or aware of, because that's what Emma does. She works with you on those things. So if you're like, hey, I'm not ready to work with Emma yet, I'm a little scared, whatever, right? You can actually start with, just thinking about like, where are you aware or not aware? And some of the things that I think came up for me, Emma, because awareness is key, is like those odd moments growing up in my family when I would see things and it would just kind of run me a certain way. And I'd be like, oh, that's weird. Like the drunk uncle, or like, the people that had a lot of money and then they just like wasted it, or, what they did to a family member, which they called caretaking, but low key was abuse. And I think, when you realize that you have this happening, number one, I think it's just number one, like give your family grace, right? Like give them grace for being human beings, because I think that that's really what I had to come to terms with. Like for me, I grew up kind of like a perfectionist, right? Like my mom's very controlling. She kind of has this like, nothing's bothering you, everything's okay type attitude, where I never had a chance as a child to like not be okay. And so a lot of us didn't have that too, like because my mom didn't have a chance to not be okay. That was her generational trauma. But it was a trigger for me, because a lot of things that I saw, experienced, I was raised through her. It was like, dang, like that became my life, right? That became how I dealt with things. And when you have people that are doing these different things, like I heard there's a list of things: money, addictions, bankruptcy, laziness, right? Listen, let me tell you something. Mental health, I was just telling Emma, there are some people that I speak to and they're like, oh, I need a coach. I'm like, you don't need a coach, you need a therapist, because we are experiencing a mental health crisis, right? So and I said to Emma earlier, I said, how do you know you need help when you're having a mental health crisis? If you know what I'm saying, if you can't make decisions based on the fact that you're having a mental health crisis, it's very hard. And so, you do have to have people to step in. And that's why we give a lot of error clarity here. So give people grace, like give them kindness, right? Like show them that, like Emma said, you are the one to change the dynamics of the family. And one thing I love, because as I was growing up, because you're like, how do you deal with people who don't do the things that you naturally are just doing and you can kind of, feel good about? Like, wow, like I remember growing up and accomplishing all these things towards my goal, right? Like I'm like, I want to own businesses. I want to be this amazing speaker. Like I have all these dreams and goals, right? But everyone around me and my family was like, that's crazy. Why would you risk it all like that? Right? Like, why would you work so hard to do something like that? They didn't understand it. Right. And still to this day, they don't understand it all the time. They don't have to. Like the point is that you understand it. Like, do you know what you want to do? Is that important to you? And if it is, then go do it. And whatever anyone else has to say about it, because people are always going to have something to say. right? If it's not benefiting you, then don't worry about what they're saying. That's it. Like, you don't have to worry about what people are saying against it. So I would just say, make sure that you understand that, some of these things in your family may be brought down generationally as far as the trigger, but you don't have to hold on to them. That's the point. You don't have to hold on to them. And awareness being that first point that I think was made here by Emma is just making sure that you are there first. So if you're not aware, then you need to start asking yourself some questions, because if you feel like you don't have any trauma, and let me bring it back up real quick, because oh man, dang it, I put it on the phone, so now I don't have the list anymore, but I was looking up the different types of traumas that we have through our generations, right? And one of the traumas, I think I remember, they talked about racism, they talked about oppression, right? And these are just some of the things. It was like 13 plus. But as I'm thinking about all those things that could have been in your family somewhere, right? That's a bloodline. Knowing that, and sometimes people will say, oh, that's in your DNA, that's just who you are. No, it's not. Who you are is who you choose to be. Now, what you're made of, you can kind of tweak that thing, because your brain, you can reconfigure your brain, you can re-engineer how you think, you can change your way of life. You can do whatever it is that you choose to do. You don't have to be succumbed to someone else's experience in life. But I think that when we kind of had lack of knowledge, right, which is also a generational trigger, because if you're thinking about Black communities, if you're thinking about women, right, for a long time, we were held back from being educated for a long time. And so, a lot of that, like, is here today. And so we have to just be very mindful of those things. So I'm gonna stop there, because we're already 46 after the hour, and I know we started a little bit late here today, but here's what I want to do. I want to continue having the conversation. I told Emma that we'll be driving the point to hopefully having a workshop in the second quarter for you guys, and you ladies and men, because we have a lot of men in our WIN community. And I just want to say too, that I wrote something down because I didn't want to forget it, because you were talking about that caterpillar going into a butterfly and you leaving your family behind for your goals, right? Like, if your success in life, like how I wanted to have a business, my mom, my dad, everybody, they were like, you're crazy. What was it? Now today, I have two businesses. I've made more money than my parents and anyone in my family that I know of have ever made working a job, and yet and still they would still be confused. Why? Because that's them, right? That's what they experience in their generation. Having a business was not profitable in their mindset, right? Because it's like, and sometimes I talk to some people in my generation, they're like, oh yeah, that's them people, they have those businesses, they're grimy, and so their mindset, but it doesn't have to carry. And so being able to have a business for me has shown freedom, independency, right? Opportunity. And now that I'm there, right? Guess what happens? People need resources. Who do they go to? Allegra. People need money. Who do they go to? Allegra, right? So don't forget that regardless of what is, seems to be happening or seems to be said, prove with results, get to that goal. And for me, my fear of success, right, Emma, because you said you may be afraid to leave your family, I was afraid of success, because I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to have the same conversations with them, they're not going to like me no more, like, they're, like, what if I fail and they laugh, over time. So there's things that do come with that. And Emma is absolutely right. But you got to work through that thing. And you got to get to a point where you're not so concerned about those fears that have followed you, that are technically from your generational triggers, and not owning someone else's issues, but really focusing on your desires, your dreams, and owning that instead. So I'll stop there. But Emma, I didn't read any more of the comments, but someone said that they had issues with emotions holding them back. I mean,
Yeah, that was Vanessa. I have it open. That was Vanessa. I have it open here on my phone. So thanks so much, Vanessa, for sharing. Really, really appreciate that. And yeah, emotions really held me back for a long time. I mean, I'm here being really open, being really real with you guys. The reason why I do this work is because I needed this work myself really, really badly. And emotions, that fear is what is the only thing that can hold us back. The belief that we can't, that we're going to fail, that we're going to succeed. Who am I to be successful? Like Allegra said, what are my family going to think? We're afraid to overtake our parents. I don't want to be unrelatable to them. I don't want to be out of the tribe, like I said, and no one will be able to relate to me, and then I'll be all alone. These are the really, really deep existential fears that you might not even recognize are going on. Because as children, we want our parents' approval. Like that's it. Even if your parents are, maybe they don't know how to take care of you, but as a child, you want your parents to love you. You want their approval. This is a really natural thing. But the problem is when we go into adulthood and we continue with that pattern, and we fail to become that, we fail to catalyze into the caterpillar and into that butterfly that we're supposed to become, because we're waiting for our parents to give us the all clear and say, yeah, good on you, Allegra, keep going, you're doing the right thing. I was waiting for that for ages. And in most cases it's not going to happen. You have to prove it first. You have to, first of all, you have to believe it inside yourself, and then you have to prove it. You have to prove it to them with the results, because they're not going to believe you. They're not going to be able to see your vision. I'm just thinking about one guy. There's a guy called Conor McGregor. I don't know if you guys know him. He's an MMA fighter, and he's Irish. And nobody believed in him. His parents, when he said he wanted to be an MMA fighter, they tried to drag him out of bed and send him off to be a plumber. But he had this vision. He had this vision. It was really, really strong. He could see it. He could believe it before anyone else could believe it. He didn't need his parents to say, good on you, bro, you're doing the right thing. They tried to pull him down, and he just stayed with the vision. He could see it. He could see it before it actually happened. He could see that success, and he made it happen. He won 2, MMA medals, and nobody thought that was possible for an Irishman, because an Irishman had never done that before. So we've got to work on ourselves first. Work on your own beliefs first. You don't stop trying to change them or make them believe you. They're probably not going to believe you. The challenge is, do you believe in yourself? And if you're having these problems with your emotions, as Vanessa talks about here, and I really get you, Vanessa. I get you so much, so much. I fully understand that. That is fear. That's fear, and that's going to be pulling you down. And what I would suggest to you is start affirming the possibility of what you want, and work on releasing those negative beliefs that maybe you're not even aware of, that are operating in the software of your mind, that keep pulling you down to those negative emotions and feelings that stop you from taking the actions and having the vision. Even a lot of us struggle to tap into the vision, because we're so stuck with this idea that it can't happen. We can't even allow ourselves to see the vision of what's possible. And obviously, if you can't see the vision, there's no way that you can create it. We've got to start there. And then there are people who, they can see the vision, they can see it, but it might as well be a million miles away, because they can't, no matter what they do, they can't take action on it. And again, it's about that self-belief. So you don't need to, good news is, you don't need to change anyone else. You don't need to change your mom or your dad. You need to work on your own belief and your own confidence. And that is totally possible once you clear away all the clutter of the things that maybe aren't working for you anymore. Maybe the softwares that you've borrowed and taken, reproduced from your parents, from your family, from your friends, that aren't going to help you get to that next level, whatever it is. Because working a job, it's not the same mindset as being an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur and being a successful entrepreneur, earning 5K, requires a different mindset than earning 10K a month. Earning 10K a month, it's a different mindset to get to that next level. And it just goes on. So there's always another level that we can get to, but it just requires clearing away that software that perhaps isn't helping you anymore. And we talk about this every week. It's about recognizing it, which is number one, recognizing what specifically it is. Then you've got to release it and let go of it. And then you get to rewrite the software, the belief system that's keeping you where you are, so that you can break from that chrysalis and become the butterfly that's waiting for you on the other side. So it's actually really exciting when you start seeing those possibilities rather than being really focused on the limitations, which is where our parents and our family and our friends are often stuck, and where we're often stuck as well. So you don't need to change them. You need to just work on yourself. And that is a gift. Show them, don't tell them. Don't try to make them see your vision. Do become that person, and then show them. And don't do it to make them believe or to change them. Do it for you. Do it for you to become the next version of yourself. Because this I see a lot as well. And I also did this, we try to be successful so that we can prove that we're good enough or worthy enough to mom or dad or whoever it happens to be. But you got to do this for you, not for anyone else. That's the only way you're going to find satisfaction, because so many people, they try to build success. This happens to a lot of men and women, trying to become successful, and they become really successful, but they're still totally unfulfilled because they're coming to it from a place of trying to prove something to themselves rather than from that fully place of embodied self-belief and the gloriousness of being where you are and having that potential for whatever the next level is for you. And wherever you are has to be fine. Like, this is another big thing that I see people tripping themselves up with, not being okay with where you are. And, raising my hand here too. If you are beating yourself up at being at 5, just starting out and not being successful, not being where you want to go, if you're constantly beating yourself up about that, that's not helpful to get to the next level. You've got to be okay with where you are, and then the next stepping stone will appear. So be okay with where you are, accept and embrace where you are, and then you can take the next step from that place. Because most of us have probably spent our whole lives beating ourselves up, and this is where it's got you. Is that the way you want to continue, or do you want something more? So that's what I would say about that, Allegra. I bet Allegra has, I can see it in your eyes, Allegra, you have something else to add to that. So I'm going to pass it back to you.
I take a deep breath, Allegra. I'm going to talk to myself for a moment because a lot of what you said is a lot of what I experienced. I mean, no one is exempt. And as women going through this process, and for most of the people I've met, I've been in business longer than most people I've met. I mean, I can probably count on one hand how many people I've met that haven't been in business as long as me that I've, came across in community, rather. I mean, sure, there's plenty of people out there longer than me, but directly when I speak to people, I think that what you said was really powerful. Wherever you are is fine. Because when I remember being in one of the most frustrating places in my career, in my faith, in my business, like this matters across the board. Because if you're not happy where you are, then there's always going to be some reason or rhyme as to like why you'll find a problem. I think that has been one of the biggest things that I find. I honestly find solutions every day. I don't find problems. I find solutions every day.
Yeah.
Always going to be a problem.
It's so easy to get stuck in the problem, and the world that we live in, and even the world of business, it's all about, and a lot of sometimes in the world of healing, it's all about finding the problem, finding the problem, finding the problem. And we never see the light beyond that. And it causes us to stay small and dissatisfied. I know, because I lived there for a long time, feeling really, really dissatisfied with myself. And what did I keep creating and manifesting? Dissatisfaction, frustration, and everything was just frustrating and just led to more of the same. So stop playing small. Vanessa said she's tired of playing small. Congratulations, Vanessa, because there is another level for you, and you need to choose that and grab that with all hands. And find you can definitely start working on these things yourself, and I really encourage you to do so. But there is something to be said for working with someone to do that too, because they can help you kind of see. We all have blind spots. I have people that I work with when I have blind spots and I get energy work, and because sometimes I get stuck too in my own kind of story and my own stuckness and my own dissatisfaction and my own playing small, because we all are playing small. Allegra's playing small because there's another huge version of Allegra waiting for her. I'm playing small compared to what's possible for me. So we embrace that rather than seeing it as a negative. See, right, there's so much more possible for me, and I'm ready to move. And when you're ready to make that move, just do it. Get the help you need. Don't try to do it on your own, because that's the thing. That's the thing that keeps you small, that keeps us small, when we try to do things on our own rather than getting the support from the community and from mentors and teachers and people who can help you and help elevate you to the energy that's going to get you to whatever your next level is. Because whatever energy you're at now, that's getting you what you have now. So we want to elevate, find people who can help you in that process.
Yeah. I think it's important because something that kind of triggered me a little bit, y'all, because when she said I'm tired of playing small, it triggered me. Y'all gotta watch your triggers, right? It triggered me a little because it reminded me of the times where I kept doing that, right? To your point, Emma, I kept saying I'm tired of playing small, and then I would like play small again. There's nothing wrong when you really look at it in a perspective, like Emma's talking about. Like, okay, playing small means that I have nothing but up to go, right? There's nothing but more to get, more opportunity, more success, more this, more that. So you can, just re-engineer the way you think about that. Um, but I remember doing that. I remember, saying, I don't want to be here no more. And that is a powerful place to be because you're just ready to take action, ready to take action. And action for me, honestly, I don't knock anything when it comes down to mental health or mindset or mindfulness, because those are necessary tools to do all the time. Like my faith, I believe that, God has a very clear statement about renewing your mind every single day. So it's not really about like, okay, well, let me just practice some mindfulness today. No, look, I'm gonna do it every day. I'm gonna do it as many times as I have to make sure that I'm getting to that better me, that better self. And I think that's what we all want. And so when you are honest about, hey, I'm tired of playing small, you actually start to take the action steps. You do the necessary things. Like when I wanted to start a business and I knew that I kept asking people, like my mom and my dad, to your point, Emma, when you said you do things to get validation. I started the business initially because I knew I wanted to, but I kind of still wanted that validation. Like I still wanted that because I was at the time, I was early in college, I think at the time. So come on, y'all. Like I still wanted my mom and dad to say, hey, I'm really proud of you. You did a really good job, and still to this day, don't get it twisted. There's still something inside of me that would love the praise. It would love the, hey, you did exactly what you were supposed to. Good job in life. But, the point is that my parents are human beings too, and they have their own problems too. Right. So they can't validate me the way that I would really want them to anyway. So when I did that back then, y'all, I kind of got slighted a little bit when I went and said, hey, I started the business and, this and that. And it was like an air of disappointment because I really halfway wanted them to congratulate me and to give me all the praise. But what ended up happening, y'all, was it challenged me to really think if that's really what I wanted or not. Because if I didn't get the praise for it, was I still willing to work hard? Was I still willing to take action? Yeah. And so if my parents weren't going to give me the praise and support, then where do I get it from? And that's kind of where I started. I started with the SBA, Small Business Administration, and still to this day, y'all already know that's how we got our corporate partner in the W.I.N community, because I went to the SBA to get a mentor to help me with the nonprofit. So there's so much benefit in just saying, hey, like, I don't really know what all to do, but I don't want to ever be in this place again. So let me get the support, a coach, a consultant, a mentor, someone that is going to guide me. And that's why we give you the resources. But I also want to say another thing too before we release this and get out of here, because something that came up when we were talking about family, and I wanted to say to whoever said that about the family message, I think you said Valerie was her name, or Vanessa.
It
I can't
was
remember.
Vanessa. Yeah, Vanessa.
So I wanted to say this because it's great questions and great. Thank you guys for
Shout out
participating.
to Vanessa.
Shout out, right? And I just want to say too to her and anyone who's listening that's in this frame, don't ever get discouraged, ever, because there is going to be friction as you become your better self. No matter how you look at it, there's going to be friction because people are not going to want you to go above and beyond them, right? You're going to grow past friends, you're going to grow past family relationships, and you're going to rekindle those things in your new self as well. One of the things that I realized when I had to get to a new level of understanding who I was is that I had to separate myself from certain family members. That was really hard. Like it was a really difficult time for me because I had just separated or ended my 7-year relationship. So, have plans to have this family and all these things, right? But what was interesting was that I knew that something wasn't right, right? I had my businesses. I had made well over 6 figures, y'all. I was doing really good. Like I mean, I felt like I was doing really good. Okay. But no one could hold my capacity enough to say, hey, sis, I know you're doing good, but something about, your life and what you're doing don't add up to what you're saying, don't add up to this. Like sometimes you have to have people in your life that are going to check you. And
Yeah.
so I didn't have those people, y'all. Like it was like everybody in my life were like me, 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 me. And that's when I was like, something's not right. Something's not right when I can't be happy where I'm at. Something's not right where I can't be satisfied with the fact that if I don't make 6 figures this year, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be happy with that? If I don't have any of these friends in my life, am I going to be happy with that? Right? Because most of the time I was friends because I felt obligated. Like I was like, oh, we've been friends for so long. But half of the time when I got off the phone, I was drained. So I really want to emphasize that there are going to be friction. There's going to be friction. There's going to be trials. There's going to be tribulations. All these things that
Yeah.
we know. The best part about it is that you have to do things for your personal development to make sure that you can. Okay, I don't know what just happened, but something
We can
just
still
shared.
hear you though, Allegra, but yeah, there was a light that kind of went on and off there.
I don't know if I don't know, child. Anyway, the TV came back on. Okay,
We can
so
still hear you.
that means we got to get out of here. So y'all know when the internet clicks off and on, it tries to disconnect you. But real quick, before we get out of here, I wanted to say
Yeah.
this last thing, because if you're really trying to toughen up and be more of a harder shell,
Yeah.
I personally had that situation happen to me where I'm very sensory sensitive. Like, I mean, y'all listen, I cried at drop of a dime. You show me a commercial and somebody scuffed their knee and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sad. But there's a way for you to compartmentalize your emotions. You do not have to be this glob of emotions. You do not have to be, I call it, just losing control of yourself. You can be in control of it all by making sure that whenever you feel certain ways, whenever you're experiencing certain things, that you are aware of it so that you can, what I call compartmentalize, meaning that you're not allowing yourself to just fall to that emotion. And here's another side of it,
Yeah.
because as you fall to the emotion, right, as you feel it, not fall to it, as you feel it, you're going to be challenged to have to know what to do about it, because you don't want to keep feeling that, right? You don't want to keep going through that, like, oh my God, so here's what I'll say. One thing I did, I had to put myself in difficult situations. I had to put myself around people that I didn't like and didn't feel comfortable around. And I had to kind of put myself in a mind frame while I was there to practice mindfulness, to practice the opportunity to be calm in chaos, right? So, and this is, and I'll give y'all one last example, and then because I know we got to go, but I want to make this very clear to y'all, because you can do this right now in your home. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be in public eye. You don't have to go to no bar to do this, right? I did this on Clubhouse. Simple as that. I did it on Clubhouse, right? Because even if you are not ready to go out, that doesn't mean you can't practice in different ways. We have digital technology. So go into spaces where you can talk to people that normally, you would probably shy away from because like they said something to hurt your feelings, or, be in situations or do things that make you uncomfortable. Like that was the big thing for me. Like sometimes we say things like, oh, I don't really want to get on a live because, or, oh, I don't. The reason why I tell my clients and I tell people that come across me, I don't want to hear the excuse, just do it. It's not because I'm like, oh, I'm going to force you. No, it's not about that. You're not going to die if you do it, right? But it's because when you take the action to do it, then the confidence that comes after is something you don't feel until you do it. So when you actually take the step, you start to build up a little bit more of a self-worth. Like, I did that thing. I feel a little bit better about myself. And emotionally, you start to build up a little bit more of a toughness around you validating yourself, opposed to waiting for someone else to tell you you did a good job today. Or to tell you, hey, in order for you to be successful, you got to do A, B, and C. You're going to be your own cheerleader. You're going to be your own boss. So that's all I got to say. And I look forward to more of this conversation. We have to keep it going, Emma. But back over to you so we can end it. How do they reach out?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Allegra said. The challenges are part of it. And that's why I talk about business as being kind of some kind of personal development boot camp, because it really challenges you. It is really challenging, and it takes you to your edge. But that is where the growth happens, when you're doing things that don't feel comfortable. When you're feeling totally comfortable in a situation, there's no growth there. There's no expansion there. And that's the cool thing about business. There's always another level. There's always another uncomfortable thing that's coming, and it's going to challenge you. It's going to push your buttons. It's going to trigger you. But what are you going to do? Are you going to run away and cry in the bathroom, or are you going to deal with that emotion? I'm not talking about repressing it and sucking it up and acting like nothing's happening, but I'm talking about emotional mastery. And this, I think, is real challenging for women, because our emotions, I'm speaking for myself here as well, emotions are so powerful when they come, and they can be really overwhelming. And it took me a long time to really, and I continue to work on this emotional mastery piece, because I'm not fully there yet, and I'm never going to be fully there yet, because there's always more that I can grow. And it's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about feeling the feelings, recognizing what the trigger is, and getting the gift from that. And that's real growth, because just going and crying about it and feeling bad about it, or pushing it down and pretending it didn't happen, that's not working through it. That's pushing it down, and that's going to cause problems later on. And we want to grow, so I'm talking about serious growth here. And that means you got to feel those feelings in order to heal them and release what the triggers are. They're your little tapping on your shoulder, saying you've got some belief here, you've got some fear here that's not serving you, and your decision is what are you going to do with that. And yeah, I like, find someone to help you. That's what I would say. Find someone to help you. If it's not me, that's fine. Find someone that you resonate with and reach out to them and get that support, because my experience, honestly and truly, these things don't go away on their own, unfortunately. I know for me, because I struggled with it for years and years, because my emotions just, wow, to so much, so big. It took me a long time to figure out how to deal with them. So find your mentor, find your coach, find your healer, find someone that you vibe with and get their support. And if I'm that person, reach out to me here in Facebook, and let's have a conversation. And don't wait, because the right time can be right now. Find your person and get that support. If you're really serious, make that decision. So that's where I would leave it. And I'm really excited about being here and talking about this important stuff with Allegra. And I'm really excited about the workshop that we're planning for the second quarter, because I think that's going to really show in a more tangible way than we're able to do here on these lives, how the mastery of your mindset and the mastery of the strategy of business building really combine to create your next level, whatever that is, the flower, the blossoming, the birth of whatever your next level is. So we want to let go of the shame, so that you can just break through that chrysalis and become who's really inside, waiting to come out.
That's such a beautiful thing. And I can't wait for the workshop. We're going to be planning that. So DM us, let us know, how that piques your interest, because we really are digging. I mean, we're deep diving into some of these things. I mentioned just a few things today that I felt like were generational triggers, but we're going to continue this conversation. So join us next week as well. One of the things that I do want to elaborate on, Emma, that came up while you were speaking, and I think this is going to be so deep. Thank you so much for adding this flavor here. She said that's what needs to be. That's what I need to be, my own cheerleader and not everyone else's cheerleader. It's so much easier to be someone else's cheerleader. That is so true. So true. You were talking about just how uh, when we work on ourselves, right, it's really up to us, because you determine how quickly you want to get to your success. I remember, being in a place where I told y'all 7 years of a relationship, and it just was done one day. I was like, oh my God, what happened? Well, here's the truth. The truth is that I honestly knew at a certain point in time, long before that relationship ended, where I got comfortable and complacent. Okay. And sometimes we do get stuck there. Like we get stuck in situations that it's like a time warp, right? Like it's just like you're doing work, right? You're like, I'm working towards my goals, but then you're like in this time warp, you get the same people, same situations, same, trauma. So I want us to be very aware of what that looks like. So I'm gonna describe that next week, and how I, definitely was shooting to my goals, but I could have gotten there years quicker, y'all. Years quicker. I promise you. I could have got there years quicker, but I was so complacent. I was so comfortable and so scared of taking that leap of faith in my own success journey, that not only did I hold success for myself, but I'm gonna tell y'all about how it affected a lot of other people in my life as well. So, and not all in a good way. So we'll talk about that next week. Y'all DM us, reach out to Emma, get what you need. All right. And if you're a WIN member and you have already signed up as a WIN member, of course, we appreciate you for helping us push the mission and guide us in empowering women entrepreneurs and men who support us. Amazing things coming up right now. We have our Love is in the Hair fundraiser. Y'all go get your peruca. I got mine. And I'm loving the fact that I can now do less with my life, because I can just throw this thing on. But this beautiful, beautiful personalized hair just for my head. I feel so good, y'all, the crown I wear. But I want you all to feel really good about yourselves. I want you all to feel empowered. So make sure that you let us know, if you are a WIN member, how you are doing, what is happening in your world of life and business, and how we can support you moving forward. All right, y'all, we got to get out of here. Have an amazing day.